Good morning. Welcome to the Housing Digital Micro Conference, looking at how data can be harnessed to improve the resident experience. My name's Joe Brune. I'm the Managing Director of Housing Digital, and I'm today's host and chair of this online event, where we discover how data-driven insights can transform the way social housing providers understand and meet resident needs. We'll discuss innovative approaches to collecting and analysing data from tenant feedback to service usage patterns and how this information can drive improvements in maintenance, communication, and community engagement. We'll discover how leveraging data can create a more responsive and resident-focused approach in social housing, particularly pertinent since the recent government announcement of a resident experience fund of £1 million to be allocated for projects. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce someone who's no stranger to a Housing Digital event, I might add, Steve Allcock, Group Business Transformation Director at Riverside.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for inviting me along today. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see that?
Yep, it's
Perfect.
it's there.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Joe. So yeah, I'm coming at this from a slightly different angle. I'm coming at it from an angle of how do we capitalize on the data that we capture? How do we enable data to help us drive better outcomes, better services for our customers? And I'm going to use a very much a live case study to present that to you today, which is what we're doing at Riverside at the moment, which is our Brilliant at Basics program. As Joe said, I'm the Group Business Transformation Director at Riverside, so I look after all things change, strategic change, tactical change. It all falls to me and my team to coordinate and land that correctly and smoothly into the organisation. So Brilliant at Basics. You'll have heard very similar kind of phrases bandied about in terms of let's get the basics right, let's let's put customer first, and all these different kind of programs that tend to do the rounds and the cycles, not just in social housing but in other sectors as well. For us, we recognize that Brilliant at Basics is about getting the fundamentals right. Like many housing associations, there is a high degree of inconsistency across our customer experience. Our customers are telling us that they don't find certain elements of our service entirely reliable, and that we're also lacking the kind of empathy, the human touch, and the kind of personalization that customers are expecting when they interact with us, particularly given that customers' expectations have grown exponentially, particularly in the last 5 years. For us, it's not about innovation for innovation's sakes. It's about delivering what matters most to our customers and delivering those basics in the best way possible. So we've made a conscious effort, really, not to involve our technology colleagues within Riverside. We're keeping this incredibly purist from a customer experience perspective, how our customers feel, how our colleagues feel, and data's played an integral part of helping us to get to where we have, which I'll talk you through. Why this is different and why this feels different to Riverside compared to how we've done things historically. We probably, like most organizations, have tried to attack various different challenges that we faced on a project by project basis. We've very much, there's a common analogy used where we're using fire hoses, the little fire hoses you get in a caravan. We're kind of going around putting these fires out as and when they pop up. What we're trying to do is take a much more systematic approach to how we deliver great services to our customers, looking at people, process, systems, and data. We're doing so in a really customer-centric mindset, prioritizing their needs above ours as an organization. We're making sure that there's consistency across channels. So it doesn't matter if you interact with us through our digital channels, through our contact centers, or if you're speaking to one of our housing officers in one of our schemes, you get a consistent service with really clear, simple processes to follow. We're empowering our colleagues as well. We want our colleagues to enjoy the work that they do, to make sure that they have the right equipment that they need, that they're trained adequately, But that training is a perpetual thing. It's not a one and done. We're constantly evaluating the way that we deliver services and think about how we can deliver things better. And crucially, and to kind of link up to the theme of this mini conference, it's about taking the right decisions that are backed up by quality data. So we're using insights to continuously improve and prevent repeat issues from reoccurring. So that's in essence what our Brilliant at Basics program is looking to achieve. But why is customer centric design important? Well, I'm sure many of you know that it's about designing products and services that are built around real experiences and not our assumptions. We all think we know our customers, but I think it's important we do ask ourselves: do we really know what our customers want and need from us? Because, as I said earlier, their needs and expectations are constantly changing. What we're trying to do through a much more customer-centric design approach is reduce the friction within journeys. And we've seen lots of examples through that, through some of the journey mapping work that we've done and through some of the data that has validated the journey maps that we have. There's a huge amount of inadequate handoffs happening across the organization. There's processes that aren't linked up, there's systems that aren't picked up. And then, our customer is at the pain point of that. And quite rightly, they will say to us regularly, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. I feel that you're not listening to me. You're not really taking on board what I'm asking for, or the feedback that I'm giving you as an organization. We're trying to build trust, and that transparency and empathy that is such an integral part of the services that we deliver. And that's by actively listening and acting upon the things that we hear. Um, we're improving our resolution rates and reducing those escalations. So if we can deliver better services at the point of contact, we will inevitably reduce the amount of repeat contacts, potential dissatisfaction, and ultimately additional cost and complaints that we then have to deal with. And then crucially, it's about understanding who in our customer community is vulnerable and making sure that we can understand those vulnerabilities and provide tailored experience to support those customers through that. So the focus and approach that we've actually taken two very critical areas of the business right now, and it'll be no dissimilar from lots of other housing associations, which is our complaints and our repair services. They inevitably create the most demand, they create the most noise and the most cost for a housing association. What I'm going to talk you through is what we've done to get to a point now where we understand what's going on in our complaints journey, using data, and how we're now evolving Brilliant at Basics into the next tranche of activity. So the focus that we're taking is very much on understanding that end-to-end journey through journey mapping. We've identifying the gaps and those moments that really matter to customers. We've looked at the different channels of engagement as well. How do customers contact us? Is it through email? Is it through the phone? Is it through web chat? Is it through face-to-face interaction out in our communities? We're looking at all of those different channels, creating hopefully an omni-channel contact center experience for our customers. We're also looking at the empathy and the communication that we're sending out. Thinking about what training and tools could enable better conversations with our customers and give our colleagues the better information they need to deliver better service. The timeliness and transparency, something we've consistently seen throughout all of our customer feedback and the data that we capture, is that customers feel that they are left in limbo a lot of the time when they raise a query. They don't feel as though they are kept well informed, and I liken it very much to the Amazon experience or the Domino's experience, where you place an order, you can track where that order is up to. That is the level of expectation that customers have on housing associations these days. We have the technology, but we're just not utilizing it in the right way. And then, of course, as I say, it's about understanding who in our customer community is vulnerable and making sure that we can provide those tailored services to them. The approach that we've taken is very much co-designed with customers and colleagues, and it's very much on the basis that they're designing with us and we're not designing to them. We are kind of taking a very cross-functional collaboration approach. We're involving CSC, housing officers, wider teams. And what's been really interesting is when you bring people together who don't typically interact with each other on a regular basis, it's very interesting how they either all have very common challenges, or actually there's challenges in one area of the business that's potentially being indirectly caused by another area of the business. And by bringing colleagues together, we're able to tackle those things head on. We're also leveraging Salesforce as our CRM, Tableau, and all of our CSAT metrics that we get from a variety of different sources to help validate that data, but also to help us quantify the volume of demand that we're seeing in these different parts of the journeys. And that has been a really powerful exercise where we've worked really closely with our data teams to understand and interpret the data in a user-centric way. We want to iteratively develop. Riverside, probably not dissimilar to other associations, typically tends to deal with a project on a project by project basis. You either deliver it in a phased approach or in an MVP manner. We're wanting to get to a point of real agility. We want to deliver things rapidly where we can. We want to really up the pace in terms of improving these journeys, removing layers of complexity, and being able to validate that the things that we are doing is actually having the positive impact that we expect. And then the final element that we've been looking at is how mature we are as an organization from a service model perspective. So do we have the right skills? Are we structured in the right way? Are we enabling the right processes through our policies and procedures? Do we have the right tools for colleagues, etc., etc.? So we're making sure that there's really clear accountability and ownership across each of the stages within the journeys that we're creating. So as you would expect, how do you do all of this? Well, the best way you do it is you get a bunch of people in a room, you slap a load of post-it notes on the table and you say, go for it. And, there's a bit of facilitation needed because the temptation with a lot of people is to go straight to this is how we see the world. And you constantly have to rein people back in and say, this isn't about how you see the world. It's about how our customers interpret the world. And what we've been able to do is work with customers and colleagues jointly to then create what we believe the process for our complaints looks like today. And we use a tool called Smapply. Many of you may have heard of Smapply. It's a great digital journey mapping tool. And in Smapply, we now have a consolidation of all of our journeys coming to life. I don't expect you'll be able to see all of this on screen, and we definitely won't have the time to talk through it. I'm very happy to spend more time with anyone who would like to look at what we've done around complaints. But we have essentially now mapped out the full complaints process from start to finish. We've considered the different steps that our customers take. We've also looked at how our customers feel at those different stages. We've looked at the channels that they interact with. We've also added some verbatim that we've captured through surveys. We've thought about the what if in terms of different interaction points that our customers may be experiencing at these stages and different scenarios that customers may be going through. We've captured all of the pain points that our customers have told us. We've thought about the sentiment and the emotion that our customers are experiencing. We've layered in again the survey information that we have and some of the stats that have come through various different survey channels. And then crucially, from a data perspective, we've thought about the service blueprint. So we've looked at the metrics that we have. We've worked really closely with our information services team to try and lift that data, interpret that data, humanize it in a way that relates to the customer experience and the service that we deliver. We've also then thought about the departmental touch points that our different customers interact with. And finally, we've thought about the colleague pain points as well. So we're trying to take a very joined up approach as to how our customers feel, but also how it feels to us as an organization to be delivering these services. Just moving back to the rest of the slides to give you an idea of the pain points that we're finding. Unsurprisingly, it touches every single aspect of what we're delivering to our customers. It's process, it's people, it's systems, it's the policies that we've introduced, it's regulatory changes that may have been introduced. It's cultural. There are definitely some behavioral things in there. And equally, there are lots of things that we could be doing differently from a digital perspective. And then that translates into a lower level of pain points that we've captured, thinking about the training needs, the resources, and the ways of working, etc., etc. So we're now able to see a golden thread running from the journeys right through to the pain points. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Steve. I was just about to say, can you close
Yeah,
the mini window of me?
yeah, no, that's fine. Sorry,
That's
let me just stop sharing and bring you back on screen. There we go.
that's not me doing that, by the way, as a way to stop Steve's presentation. Although I'd be interested to see how you can do that as a way to say, as a way to tell people they're running out of time, which you weren't, I might add, Steve.
No, that's fine.
Um, Thank you very much, Steve, for that. Thank you for taking the time today. I know you've got an extremely busy schedule today, so
No, it's okay.
really appreciate it. Steve does have to shoot very shortly, but we do have about 10 minutes potentially for questions. We did have a question in the chat, which was from Laura. Um, what are Salesforce and table and CSAT metrics? I'm not sure if that's asking what the metrics are or what your metrics are.
So can you just repeat that, Joe? Sorry.
What are Salesforce table? Is it pronounced table or Tableau?
Tableau.
Tableau.
Tableau. Yeah.
What are Salesforce Tableau and CSAT metrics?
Yeah. So the CSAT metrics we take from a variety of different sources. We do regular surveys through our website. We do telephone surveys after every call. There's a variety of different ways in which we capture feedback and consolidate that into a set of CSAT measures. Not to be confused with TSMs, tenancy satisfaction measures. We obviously monitor them and report on them in a slightly different way. Tableau is the equivalent of Power BI. It's essentially an API integration with Salesforce. Every strand of data that we capture through Salesforce is then aggregated into Tableau, and we're able to then create meaningful dashboards off the back of it. So the visuals that you saw on the map there are extracts essentially from the various different Tableau reports that are produced. So yeah, Tableau is a data warehouse, for want of a better phrase, with a nice reporting capability that sits on top of it.
There's been several requests for more information around Smaply,
Yes.
I'll come to shortly. In
Yeah.
the meantime, Mark Cantrell, you've got a raised hand. You've got a question?
Right, yeah. Mark Cantrell, editor of Housing Digital. I just noted earlier when you said how you deliberately kept the tech people out of what you were doing, and I was just wondering for that is that because you think we're too quick, whatever sector we're in, to leap for a technology solution to things, and also I'm showing my lack of a tech background here, but a lot of things you were there in your presentation with the software, I kind of fit in with tech.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering a bit more about why you kept the technology people and hence by extension the
Yeah.
technology out.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I'm very conscious that I sit within the technology directorate within Riverside. So, I appreciate it. It's never going to go down too well, me deliberately keeping our technology colleagues out of the conversation. But we've made a real conscious decision to do that, and the reason why we did that was because for a long time, a lot of conversations, a lot of solutions have been driven by technology enablement. We've almost been tempted to just jump straight to the solution as opposed to taking that step back to say, regardless of what technology we have, because our customers generally don't care what our technology stack looks like, they just want us to deliver great services. Um, we need to go back to some basics to ask our customers what matters to you, what services do you expect from a modern housing provider. um, our technology colleagues, of course, will be brought into the conversation, but in the early days of doing the mapping exercises that we have to understand what's really happening at the coalface of the services that we're delivering, you almost need to take some of that peripheral noise out of the conversation and just keep it really objective on customer experience and colleague experience. And then once we've started to find that, yes, there are process improvements, there are data improvements, there are technology improvements, but there's actually also a big cultural pull. There's a really big cultural aspect to a lot of the problems that are happening. Once we understand what they are, we can then bring in those other areas of the organization to help us translate that into a set of requirements that we can then work on. So I think we made the right decision. And I think on reflection, the work that we've done so far, people would agree that we have made the right decision by not involving every area in the business in the work that we've done. But naturally, there will come a point where you do need to involve your solution architects, your IT partners, and things like that, because naturally they want to help find solutions to the problems that we've identified.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for your question, Mark. We have had several requests for more information around Smapley.
Smapley, yes.
So do you want to give us a little bit of a teaser of some of the headlines of some of the research findings you've found, or the metrics you found from Smapley?
Yeah, certainly. So I was really passionate about introducing Smapley because I wanted us to deliver journey maps that are really tangible, and they are not just, static PDF documents that are pulled down from Visio. I wanted us to have a working platform that people can use on a day-to-day basis to keep the journeys alive, because even in the time that we've been talking, journeys can change that quickly. Our customer experience can change that quickly. So you do need a capability that can help you keep journeys alive. They are essentially your service blueprint. They allow you to constantly evaluate how you're delivering services to customers. So I'd used Smapley in a previous life. At my last organization, I'd introduced it for our CX design team. And we'd started to explore it and utilize it well. And then I introduced a TX design team, total experience design. And the reason why I called our design team TX was because it's not just about the customer experience, it's about the colleague experience, it's about all the experience that we're trying to create. So we have a dedicated in-house TX design team. And for too long, they were using PowerPoint and Visio and PDF documents to try and capture and maintain all of this great stuff. So we went out, purchased Smapley. It's a web-based application. It's on a per license model, so it's quite easy to procure. It has single sign-on authentication. You can structure the repository with all of your journey maps clearly labeled, and you can artifact them. You can build personas within the platform. So once you've got an idea on what your data is telling you, and you can start to build a clear picture of your customer personas, you can then layer in the personas to see how the journeys will change and adapt depending on different customer persona groups that you have. So it's a really powerful tool. It can be a really great interactive tool. But of course, one of the other benefits are that you can download, you can share journey maps, you can collaborate with people in a really virtual way. So I would absolutely recommend, if you are looking to embark on doing more journey mapping, or you're starting out on your journey to do this kind of stuff, then I would strongly recommend that you do tap into that and you tap into doing journey mapping, because it's using Smapley, because it's a great tool.
Sounds good. Steve, once again, thank you very much.
No problem.
Good luck rest of your day.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
All the best. Cheers. Okay. Just to summarize what we've heard today, we heard from Ian at Crimson, who is the Chief Data Officer, and he got the ball rolling by explaining what we actually mean by data. Time and technology has moved on, so it's not just structured data in the columns and rows of Excel spreadsheets. Nowadays, it can include text, audio, geospatial information, and more. In a nutshell, data is any information an organization gathers and stores. As he explained, increasingly the sector is working to collate this data into one platform to provide a single version of the truth. He explained how this becomes a powerful means to analyze the business and target benefits for stakeholders. As he pointed out, data quality is vital, as is security and governance. We then had Steve Allcock, who's the Group Business Transformation Director at Riverside, who presented a real-life case study to explain how they are using data to reform its services. Brilliant at the basics, not just about innovation for innovation's sake. He explained but also delivering a consistent and emphatic approach based around residents and informed by quality data. The approach is about building services based on real experience and expectation, not assumptions. It's a systematic approach that is based on resident needs rather than those of the organisation. We've then just had Will Walker, Director of Transformation at Citizen, who explained the process and reasoning Citizen applied to modernise its services and integrate its systems and teams following the merger. The journey didn't begin with data, but it became a much more important factor as they moved forward. The approach was founded on a set of values and purposes. Then when Will went on to focus on 4 key elements: technology, people, processes, and culture, with data coming to the fore as the journey progressed. The purpose is to place residents at the forefront of the business and enable teams to work together to provide the experience residents expected. And then finally, just wanted to say thank you to Crimson, who are one of our stakeholder partners, and for sponsoring today's micro conference. And also just a reminder of Crimson's conference taking place on the 13th of November, and the link to that is in the chat. Other than that, it's big thank you to today's presenters. Thank you to all that attended, and we hope to see you at a future Housing Digital Micro Conference. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.